Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. Hello everybody, how you doing? We're here today talking a little bit about Wisconsin politics. Some of you may have seen Shaun Attwood's video that he put out this morning. I watched it, and very interesting, obviously. And he's right. You know, there's not much we can do to get in the game in terms of the legal of this. There's, you know, we're kind of, you got to be lawyer, you know, you got to be a lawyer to even get in the game, really, in that sense, right? We can have an effect, obviously. Our public opinion can sway, you know, the minds of people, obviously, that, you know. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to the future governor of Wisconsin or the future attorney general of Wisconsin, that's where the people, especially those people there in Wisconsin, have the power. They can get involved, and they can be players in a big way. So that's what the focus of this video today is going to be. I got my Rogue One shirt on, you know. So anyway, figured that might be a little appropriate for this one. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the governor, Scott Walker. He likes to be called Gooberneur sometimes, or sometimes he likes to be called Scooter. You know, good old Scott likes to be called Scooter, of course, right? So when you're tweeting and doing things like I'm going to show you in this video, be sure to remember to call him Gooberneur and Scooter, because he likes that. Anyways, moving on. So the idea today is I'm going to show you guys kind of what, you know, Shaun was talking about a bit, what you can do. If you're watching this video and you support Stephen and Brennan and you don't have a Twitter account yet, today is the day. Go make yourself a Twitter account, because the idea is to get as many people, you know, in on the tweets that Governor Scott Walker makes, and get enough people in there that are talking and making a chatter about Steve and Brendan, and making, you know, no matter where he's trying to take the conversation, always bringing it back to, you know, Stephen and Brendan, essentially. So that's the idea here, and the idea is that his opponents will pick up on it, and that it might become a, you know, it can become a force that even Scott Walker, the governor, will be kind of powerless to stop. So, I mean, and as it is right now, it's not looking good for him. He's certainly got a lot of critics. He's got, you know, a lot of people that are not really on board with his style of doing things. And so he's already looking like he's on shaky ground. So another thing I want to point out about this video, obviously I'm going to show you how to find me on Twitter, but I'm also going to show you how to find Tracy Keogh. Okay? Tracy Keogh has been plugging herself in and getting to know the whole Wisconsin political scene. When it comes to the attorney generals, governor, when the whole Mark Wiegert for head sheriff thing was going on, which I still can't believe he won, but then again, I guess I can. But whatever. I guess Calumet wants to have their name tied to the guy who's going to be in the textbooks in the future for how not to interrogate a juvenile. But that's their choice. So she's been plugged into this stuff. She's been on top of this stuff for a long time. So in addition to what you see me doing on Twitter and liking and retweeting the stuff that I'm saying to Scott Walker and stuff, you can also be looking at her stuff, Tracy Keogh. And I'll show you what her Twitter looks like, her Twitter handle and everything, so that you can find her easily on Twitter when you create your account, if you haven't already. So what we're going to be talking about here today is basically, well, number one, I'm gonna show you a previous Scott Walker tweet and a reply that was made to it, and this would be the type of reply that would be helpful and effective if there were hundreds of people, you know, coming onto his tweets and making comments like this one, like the one you're gonna see here in a minute. So the idea is you know, that Scott Walker clearly is what you would call a tough on crime governor. That's his bread and butter. He uses that. He panders to the tough on crime people because, well, for whatever reason, he feels that he gets the most votes from that sector, so he panders to them. And that's the whole reason why you see most of his tweets are always about the same thing. I'm tough on violent crime. Not a single prisoner is getting out early in my state. Da 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 da. Which he happens to have, you know, which is kind of weird because all the prisons are also privatized there. So you gotta wonder, is he getting a kickback or something possibly? You know, that could be another reason why he panders to the tough on crime folks. So, and I'm not saying anything bad about the tough on crime folks. I mean, look, I want to be tough on crime too. I just want to make sure that the law enforcement and the prosecutors are actually getting the people that perform the crimes, not people that they were able to make fit the crime because they couldn't actually figure out who did it. And it happens more than you would think. And for Scott Walker to continuously ignore some of the obvious issues, it shows he's very committed to his current direction, his current course, you know, as it were. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna show you right now an example, like I said, and first I'm gonna show you what my Twitter handle looks like, so you can find me, and then I'm gonna show you what Tracy Keogh's Twitter handle looks like, so you can find hers, and then I'm gonna show you a tweet from Scott Walker, and then I'm gonna show you a response to that tweet that is the type of thing we're looking for. All right, and this is how you can find me. At Ericoze on MAM. It's underscores in between on, you know, on both words. Anyways, so it's underscores there just so you can see that. So Ericoze MAM, picture of Brendan is my, you know, profile pic. So that's how you can find me, and you can check me out there. There's a lot of other people there you can obviously check out. There's TikTok Manitowoc is another one I recommend. 7 Pairs of Panties, Mystical Jinx. There's a number. But you'll see their tweets starting to pop up as you create your account and start following me and some of the other people that I'm talking about. You'll start seeing other people's tweets pop up, and you'll know who you want to follow at that point. All right, so this is Tracy. You know, this is her Twitter. The way you can find her is right here at Tracy Keogh 2. So that's how you can find her if you need to, or basically you can type her name and into the search and you could probably find her. But anyways, that's who you're looking for, just so you know. So this is a recent tweet from Governor Walker saying, looking ahead, I will keep visiting the victims of crime and assure them that I will not let violent criminals out of prison early. As long as I am governor, violent criminals will serve their full sentences. Now, besides the fact that he's obviously pandering, so to my mind, all he's really doing is trying to win votes by being tough on crime. And you know, that's the, I mean, he doesn't, I mean, what happened to Brendan Dassey is a crime. It should be a crime. I mean, the way he was coerced, the way that like Fallon, for instance, lies in his closing statements to the jury, telling the jury that innocent people don't confess. We know that's not true. We know that there's plenty of innocent people that confess. So, you know, when you got things like that, the prosecution obviously is with Fallon, and then his own lawyer, Len Kaczynski, you know, coercing him again and putting him back in a room with the two guys that you know coerced him the first time. I mean, it's just unreal. And so Brendan was really victimized by, you know, the people who are meant to be enforcing these laws. So when we say let's be tough on crime, how do we know that our law enforcement is interpreting that properly and isn't using improper, you know, tactics and techniques or whatever like they did with Brendan in order to chase convictions because they want the people to see the convictions, because that's how guys like Scott Walker get reelected again. Shouldn't it matter that the numbers we see are actually violent criminals and not people that they shoehorned into a conviction because they couldn't actually find the person that actually did it. And so they do what they got to do to make somebody, go to jail for it, essentially. That's why officers, as they say, help evidence, because they're stumped and they want to get somebody for it. So with Mr. Scooter Walker getting ready to go visit the victims of crime and violent crime, which I think we can count Brendan. He's a victim of a violent crime that happened to Teresa, because he certainly had nothing to do with the crime. He was clearly coerced by Fassbender and Wiegert. He was victimized by law enforcement, the prosecution with Fallon lying to the jury, and his own lawyer, Lynn Kaczynski. Right, so here's a Scott Walker tweet that, you could probably comment on. Because if you notice in the picture, there's a lot of kids and stuff. He's, really trying to put forth this image that he cares about kids and, that sort of thing, right? So here's what the tweet says. We're just about 2 months away from Election Day. We don't want to go backward with big government policies of the past. So we need your help to keep Wisconsin moving forward. Join our team, whatever. Join Team Walker today. I mean, and he's just assuming that anybody but him is a step backward. And I can only assume that means he's worried that somebody else besides him would want to, squash the whole Foxconn thing. I don't know that that's really true, but Foxconn is a big part of what's, at the heart of everything when it comes to Scott Walker, along with the tough on crime stance. But this would be an example of a tweet where you could say, you have all these kids, you're portraying yourself as this person who really cares about kids. What about Brendan Dassey or something along those lines? That's basically what you might possibly say here if you were inclined to do so. Anyways, so that's basically what I'm getting at. Okay, so like Shaun Attwood was saying, now's the time. Public opinion and your opinion can make a difference now because of social media and being able to go over and create attention to things that Scott Walker doesn't want attention on. He just wants to keep the attention focused on these things that he views as good, and maybe they are, but clearly they're the things that he is backing. It seems like he has an agenda, and whatever. But that agenda is subject to the will of the people. See, unlike the court, this is an arena where you and everybody there in Wisconsin and everybody can make a difference in. Your opinion can actually affect the outcome. So, thought I'd say that. That's what it's coming down to. So, creating the awareness, tweeting, creating the awareness of it. Like I said, it helps all this stuff to break out of the MAM bubble and continue to convince others, that Brendan Dassey is still innocent. The case against Stephen is still a freaking mess and a farce and makes very little sense. And those things, and so that people that were into it back when MAM, the first 6 months MAM came out, might even get enticed back, and breaking out of the bubble and getting people that aren't aware of it yet. And that's, I think, a big part of helping to create further awareness and to, as I say, to try to break out of the MAM bubble. If you're just sitting around and talking to and dealing with all the people who feel the same way that you do, you're not really challenging yourself or what you're thinking about, or what how you're. It's not. I mean, it's cool to do that, but for me personally, I also like to be challenged, and that's kind of why I tend to talk to people who aren't exactly on board with the innocence, because they will say something from time to time that will make me think. As it happened recently, one of the things they said that made me think got pretty much blown to smithereens in the new queso, because one of them had told me that DOJ had proof that the the driver's side front blinker on the RAV4 was damaged prior to October 31st. That's complete BS. I guarantee you, if the DOJ had that proof, there's no way in heck they would be bothering the brother of a victim and the victim's family, essentially, to go digging through their old computers to find some, hopefully praying, not even knowing it's there. I mean, Mike Halbach admits that, not even knowing if it's there, just going through to in just the sheer hope that he has a picture of it somewhere. Yeah, it's very interesting. So I guarantee you that the DOJ, nobody has any proof of that blinker being damaged, and so that also takes out the idea that Teresa made a claim on somebody else's insurance, because it's not possible at this point. If that was the one thing that somebody who thought they were guilty told me, that was proof that Zellner was crazy, and it turns out that the investigation done by Calumet County tells me they don't know. They are trying to find proof to try to refute Zellner. That's where we're at. Get on Scott Walker. Get on Attorney General Brad Schimmel. Let me show you a picture of that guy right here. Okay, so here is Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel. This is the man responsible for taking Brendan's freedom away. Brendan won twice. He won twice on his habeas relief. And then Brad Schimmel literally pulls the equivalent of a Hail Mary, and basically it works. He gets the en-banc review. He not only gets the en-banc review, but suddenly, when all the opinions had been going in Brendan's favor, suddenly the other 4 judges over there at the court, or 4 of the other 5 judges there at the 7th Circuit Court, suddenly, are all against Brendan. So, I mean, it's a big old mess. But this is the guy who we can thank, because he believes he's still trying to rehabilitate Brendan Dassey. Yeah, like Shaun was saying, the only infraction that they ever have on him is that he was trading ramen noodles with another guy one time. He's also described in his reports, in the reports of him in prison, as exceedingly benign. Okay, so for those who didn't know that, it's true. Exceedingly benign are the words used to describe Brendan as a prisoner. He's hardly a hardened criminal. He's hardly a, I mean, it's such a ridiculous mess what happened to Brendan. And Scott Walker and Brad Schimmel need to hear everybody's voice about that. They need to be able to not forget about Brendan Dassey. They may have been hoping that it would all just go away, after the 7th Circuit en-banc, went in their favor. They may have been just hoping, okay, that's it. It's all over now. And it's important for it to not be over now. So I leave you with that. That's it for this video, folks. We'll obviously try to do some more follow-ups about more of the political stuff in the coming 2 months leading into the November election there. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe.